Here is a fun fact for you about this film that you may or may not have known. American Ninja Warrior, the TV competition show, is actually based on this movie, and I based that on absolutely no research. American Ninja, released in 1985 and is directed by Sam Furstenberg, who's also behind such films like Avenging Force, The Alternate, Cyborg Cop, and Cyborg Cop 2. And this film is starring Michael Dudikoff, Gooch Knock, Steve James, and Judy Arison. And the reason why we're talking about American Ninja today is because it was a PayPal recommendation and donation from a longtime contributor and supporter of this channel, Dr. Camp. Once again, you strike with a movie that I've never heard of before, and one that's pretty regarded as being just so over the top and utterly ridiculous that it's amazing. And it was quite an interesting and fun time watching it. Originally, I had the idea to do a watch-along of this movie, but I have to admit, after your last recommendation of Fateful Findings, that Neil Breen film, watch-alongs have kind of lost their appeal to me. I'm not going to say I'm never going to do them again. I definitely will, but I need a break. I need time to recover from that watch-along. And it wasn't just the watch-along, it was the editing process. So I had to watch the movie, and then I had to keep watching it because I had to edit that frickin' watch-along. It's gonna be a while, so I had intentions of doing that with this movie, but I kind of just wanted to give myself a break. I did enjoy this film for being absolutely ridiculous, so thank you very much, Dr. Camp. I actually think that this is the final film of the big bundle that you threw at me earlier this year, so hopefully I'll be hearing from you again. If anyone else out there also wants to be like Dr. Camp and help support me and contribute to this channel, you can select the QR code that is in the bottom left corner of your screen right now and send over your donation of $5 or more with your movie recommendation. And if I have access to it, I will watch it, review it, and give you a little shout out, just like what I did with Dr. Camp here. Joe Armstrong is the newest private recruit to the U.S. Army, and on one little outing in the Philippines, his company gets ambushed by a bunch of ninjas, and they try to abduct the general's daughter. But Joe's instincts start kicking in, and he starts combating against all of the ninjas with his own ninja moves. So the rest of the film follows Joe's journey in finding out just who he is, where he comes from, and him reestablishing his memory so that he can learn where he got all of these ninja powers. Oh, and then there's this whole conspiracy thing with the general and arms dealings in the Philippines, that everyone's corrupt, and Joe and his friends are the only ones who can take him down, because again, he is an American ninja. I love the 80s. Gosh, you gotta make everything American in the 80s. It's, you know, the end of the Cold War times. America's so frickin' great and so frickin' awesome. Yeah, that's what we needed. What, the Japanese have all the ninjas over there? Not in this movie. In this movie, we have an American ninja. It's such classic Hollywood martial arts choreography in here. It's nothing like what we have nowadays, where it's so quick and fast-paced, and we have camera work that is following all the fights going along. Here, we have a stationary camera, and we're just watching a white guy who spent a little time training with a couple of moves and does them for the screen, and we, the audience, because we never really saw that before, at least in American cinema, we go, whoa, that guy really is an American ninja. My, oh my, how times have changed. However, the whole corruption in the U.S. Army and politics and things like that, you know, some things stay the same. It's a ridiculous concept. You can definitely tell that this was done in the 80s. The camera quality, the lighting quality, like everything is brightly lit. The music, the soundtrack, it sounds very 80s. But through all of that 80s cheesiness and over-the-topness, I'm actually digging it, and I'm having a good time just in all of its absurdity. I've seen so many terrible films recently where it's clearly made to be terrible, but this film actually has a quality behind it that makes it a little bit more top-notch as opposed to those recent ones that I've seen. There's a seriousness and a maturity to the quality of film that we get with this movie that I actually appreciate. Michael Dudikoff, I think, lands one of the best roles to ever have. He barely has any lines, but he's such a badass with everything. It's the ultimate action hero role to be cast in and to star in. You say nothing, you get to kick everybody's ass, you get to show everyone up, and you get the girl in the end. Like, yeah, that is the ultimate dream of becoming an action hero. Except this one definitely doesn't have near enough budget as, I mean, this was the 80s, so Schwarzenegger films, Stallone films, this movie has nowhere close to that budget. Which again, adds to its charm. This film, just reading up on it, is like, yeah, this is pretty terrible, or it's one of those cheesy 80s films that are forgotten. But I don't know, I was having an enjoyable time. It's definitely not the best thing that I've seen. It's not the best action film that I've seen, but like I said, it's charming, and it has some good things about it. Steve James, who plays Curtis Jackson, he is the, I guess, best friend to Joe, who is a little standoffish at first. He doesn't like him because of all of his ninja moves in the beginning of this movie. They lost several of their comrades. If he would have just sat there and put up his hands, they would have gotten out of there with no lives lost. And he's supposed to be the martial arts guy on the base, so he challenges him to a little duel, and he gets his butt kicked, and they actually become best friends because of it. He was my favorite character. He was the coolest. And of course, he comes in to save the day in the end during the action sequence. He has the grenade launcher. He has the little tie on his head. And of course, he's got to go shirtless. I mean, all these guys have got to go shirtless in this movie. This was G.I. Joe time. Everyone needs to be the next G.I. Joe, or at least tries to be. American Ninja. Watching it today, it's a love letter to the 80s and the B and C action films that we were getting at the time. I think it's a lot of fun. Again, it's absurd. These characters are absurd. The idea of having an American white-born ninja here is definitely ridiculous to nowadays standards, but back in the 80s, gosh, it was a lot of fun. I'm gonna give American Ninja 3 out of 5 Blu-rays.
Not exactly what I had in mind, but not bad.
So guys, if you've seen American Ninja, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across it because of this video, then comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.